The brain that changes itself reveals an astonishing truth. Our brain is not a static organ but a masterpiece of adaptability, continuously reshaping itself through the phenomenon of neuroplasticity. Imagine this: each thought, each experience, and every single moment of our lives holds the power to mold, rewire, and even reconstruct the very fabric of our mind. Neuroplasticity isn't just science, it's a superpower each of us possesses, transforming us from mere passengers in our minds into empowered sculptors of our mental landscape. As the owners of our minds, we're handed the profound opportunity to shape our own neurological destiny. Struggles, old habits, or past conditioning no longer define us, they're simply clay, ready to be reshaped by the hands of our intention and will. In essence, the brain that changes itself awakens the realization that within each of us lies the remarkable potential to reimagine, redefine, and redirect the paths of our lives from the inside out. Our brain is an extraordinary, ever-evolving marvel, continually changing and adapting based on our experiences, thoughts, and actions. This isn't a slow or occasional process. Our brain is a living, breathing organ of adaptation, designed to shift, strengthen, and reshape itself with each new encounter or challenge we face. And here's the key: this adaptability is a power we hold within us, waiting to be unlocked and directed by our own choices. The critical growth period in childhood is like a period of laying down the mental blueprints for life. During this time, our brain is at its most impressionable, eagerly absorbing the world around us and wiring itself in response. Early experiences, routines, and interactions form the initial patterns, setting us up with the base upon which all future learning and behaviors build. But this doesn't mean our brain is set in stone after childhood. In fact, every single day presents an opportunity to make new, positive changes. More than genetics and even more than the decisions we make in isolated moments, it is our habits, the small, repeated actions and routines, that sculpt who we are. Think of habits as the architects of your mind. Each time you repeat a habit, it reinforces specific neural pathways, making those thoughts and behaviors more natural and automatic. This is why our habits define us. They are the daily investments we make in the type of person we become. So, what does this mean for you? It means that you hold a profound influence over your mental landscape. You have the ability to shape your brain not only by choosing what you focus on but also by the habits you decide to cultivate. By consciously forming habits that support growth, resilience, and positivity, you actively design the architecture of your brain, creating a life aligned with your deepest values and aspirations. In essence, the brain that changes itself isn't just a book, it's an invitation to see yourself as the artist of your mind, continuously working on a masterpiece that is uniquely yours. In The Brain That Changes Itself, Norman Doidge takes readers on an extraordinary journey, sharing story after story that shatters our old understanding of the brain. For centuries, people believed that our minds were essentially locked after childhood, shaped by genetics, early experiences, and perhaps irreversible damage or limitations. For most of history, if you suffered an injury or had a disability, it was thought you'd be stuck with it, bound by unyielding mental boundaries. Decline was inevitable and, many believed, a permanent part of aging. But Doidge introduces us to scientists, doctors, and patients who dared to think differently. These pioneers in neuroscience weren't satisfied with limitations. They began to explore, test, and eventually prove that the brain could do something remarkable. With no surgery, no medication, and sheer determination, they discovered that the brain has the power to reshape itself. And thus, the groundbreaking concept of neuroplasticity was born. Doidge brings us face to face with inspiring individuals who've defied the odds. He met people born blind who, after training, began to see for the first time. Deaf individuals regained hearing, stroke patients relearned lost abilities, and those with learning disorders broke free of limitations, actually increasing their IQ through deliberate training. These transformations are a testament to the boundless potential hidden within our brains. However, this power of neuroplasticity isn't just a path to healing and improvement. Doidge also points out the other side. Our minds are impressionable, sometimes adopting patterns or habits that can harm us. Under certain conditions, neuroplasticity can pave the way for conditions like paranoia or negative habits that don't serve us. Understanding the brain's plastic nature is essential to recognizing both the limitless possibilities for growth and the responsibility we hold to shape our minds in ways that elevate, rather than undermine, our well-being. In Chapter 1, A Woman Perpetually Falling, Norman Doidge delves into the inspiring story of how scientists began to dismantle the long-held belief in localizationism, the idea that each brain region has a fixed, specialized role, like a machine with immovable parts. This mechanical view of the brain created a discouraging reality. If a brain region was damaged, it was thought that the function it controlled was lost forever. Under localizationism, recovery from brain injuries or sensory impairments seemed almost impossible, locking patients into lives limited by their conditions. But Dr. Paul Bocquay-Rita's groundbreaking work offered hope and possibility that went beyond established science. His famous assertion, "We see with our brains, not with our eyes," underscored his belief that our brains, not individual sensory organs, create perception. This idea was profound because it meant the brain could adapt to new inputs and rewire itself to interpret signals from alternate sources, giving rise to unexpected ways of compensating for lost sensory functions. Bocquay-Rita's research focused on neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, which meant that sensory information didn't need to come exclusively from the eyes for it to be interpreted as sight. Instead, any electrical signal, regardless of its origin, could be translated into meaningful data by the brain. His invention, a device called the BrainPort, enabled blind individuals to see using their tongues, translating visual information into electrical patterns felt on the tongue's surface. This revolutionary approach showed that even areas of the brain traditionally devoted to sight could be repurposed, proving that the brain is far more adaptable than previously thought. This case of a woman, known as Cheryl, who suffered from a rare disorder that destroyed her sense of balance, illustrates the potential of this idea. Cheryl's world felt as though it were constantly tilting, and she lived in a near-perpetual state of falling, unable to maintain balance due to the loss of function in her vestibular system. Bocquay-Rita's team developed a device for Cheryl that provided balance information to her brain through small electrodes placed on her tongue, giving her a new sense of balance. After using the device, Cheryl's brain learned to interpret these signals as balance information, and she was able to stand, walk, and even regain her independence. This device, and others inspired by Bocquay-Rita's insights, represent a profound shift in how we view sensory function and brain capabilities. They suggest that our senses aren't confined by our sensory organs but rather by our brain's capacity to interpret and integrate data. The concept of neuroplasticity, demonstrated through Cheryl's recovery, showed that sensory information from one part of the body could be rerouted to another part of the brain, sparking hope for countless others. Doidge's chapter beautifully illustrates that limitations aren't as fixed as once thought, and our brains possess untapped potential to adapt, relearn, and thrive, even in the face of adversity. This new view of the brain as an adaptable, flexible organ redefines human resilience, proving that the mind isn't limited by the body's condition but instead is capable of remarkable transformation, given the right conditions. The brain that changes itself thus offers more than scientific insight. It inspires the belief that no obstacle is truly insurmountable, and our ability to change lies within our brain's astonishing plasticity. In Chapter 2, Building a Better Brain, Norman Doidge introduces us to the inspiring story of Barbara Aerosmith Young, a woman whose early life was shaped by severe learning disabilities. Labeled as retarded, Barbara struggled to understand and process basic information, making even everyday tasks a monumental challenge. Her condition affected her ability to understand language, spatial relations, and basic symbols, areas most people take for granted. Despite these challenges, Barbara refused to accept a life confined by her limitations and instead embarked on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. Barbara's story isn't just about coping with her disabilities but redefining what was possible for herself. Through relentless determination and innovative thinking, she didn't settle for compensating for her limitations. She developed a way to address and even correct the root causes of her struggles. Inspired by emerging insights in neuroscience, Barbara devised targeted exercises to challenge her brain in the areas it was weakest, treating it as a muscle that could grow stronger with intentional training. Her work led to the development of exercises aimed at strengthening specific cognitive functions that were once thought to be immovable traits. Through these exercises, Barbara began rewiring her brain, breaking down the concept of fixed intelligence and showing that cognitive weaknesses could be improved. Her success marked a turning point not only for her life but also for countless others with similar challenges, as she went on to found the Aerosmith School, a pioneering institution that applies her methods to help children and adults overcome learning disabilities. Barbara's story in The Brain That Changes Itself reveals a powerful truth. Children and adults with learning disabilities aren't confined to compensating for these challenges. Instead, they can train their brains to address the fundamental issues, transforming weaknesses into strengths. Her achievements underscore the potential of neuroplasticity, highlighting that the brain can indeed be built and rebuilt through dedicated effort and innovative approaches. This chapter encapsulates an essential message. Intelligence and cognitive skills aren't fixed traits, but dynamic capabilities that can be cultivated, reshaped, and improved. Barbara Aerosmith Young's journey challenges society's labels and limitations, proving that we all have the potential to build better, stronger minds. In Chapter 3, Redesigning the Brain, Norman Doidge introduces us to Michael Merzenich, a pioneer in the field of neuroplasticity who boldly challenges traditional medicine's approach to brain health and recovery. Merzenich's groundbreaking research reveals the brain's almost limitless adaptability, a property that extends across the entire lifespan. While most once believed that the brain's plasticity faded after childhood, Merzenich insists that our brains remain flexible and capable of change from birth to death. What sets Merzenich apart is the ambition of his claims. He argues that targeted brain exercises, when designed to stimulate specific neural circuits, can be as effective as medication, even in the treatment of severe conditions such as schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, and other neurological disorders. He believes that engaging the brain in consistent, focused mental exercises can rebuild lost functions, strengthen weakened pathways, and create new ones, giving patients a level of agency in their own recovery that traditional treatments often don't offer. Merzenich's work began with studies on how the brain remaps itself after injury, such as when one loses a limb. He found that the brain doesn't simply leave empty neural space, it reallocates that area to other functions, showing how readily adaptable it is. This discovery laid the foundation for understanding that if the brain could adapt to loss, it could also adapt to gain, actively rewiring itself to improve cognition and overcome disabilities. To put this into practice, Merzenich developed brain training programs that target areas such as memory, attention, and sensory processing. These exercises are meticulously designed to stimulate neuroplastic change, challenging the brain to function more efficiently and accurately. His programs have shown success in improving focus, processing speed, and memory, offering a non-invasive, proactive approach to mental health. Through Merzenich's story, Doidge highlights a revolutionary idea. Brain training isn't just for enhancement, it's a potent tool for recovery, especially for individuals facing debilitating neurological conditions. Merzenich's work suggests that neuroplasticity could become a fundamental part of treatment plans, allowing us to redesign our brains in ways that foster resilience, restoration, and growth. This chapter offers hope, redefining what is possible in mental health and demonstrating the brain's vast potential for renewal. Rewiring, what it means. When we discuss the concept of rewiring in the context of neuroplasticity, we are referring to the intricate connections formed between neurons, the brain's fundamental building blocks. Neurons communicate with each other through a space known as the synapse. This is where the magic happens. Electrical signals travel from one neuron to another across this synaptic gap, facilitating the exchange of information. Rewiring occurs at this synaptic level, where a group of neurons strengthens their connections. As we learn, experience, and engage with our environment, these connections become more robust and efficient, allowing for quicker and more accurate communication within our brain. This process of strengthening and forming new connections is essential for learning, memory, and overall cognitive function, emphasizing that our brain is not static but rather a dynamic organ capable of profound change. Critical periods. In The Brain That Changes Itself, Norman Doidge introduces the concept of critical periods, specific windows during which the brain undergoes heightened plasticity, making it especially receptive to change. One prominent example is language acquisition. Research shows that there is a critical period for learning languages, roughly from 8 years old to puberty. During this time, children can effortlessly pick up new languages and mimic accents with ease. However, once this period passes, it becomes significantly more challenging to learn a new language without developing a noticeable accent. Merzenich explains that the difference in plasticity between critical periods and adult neuroplasticity lies in how learning occurs. In children, mere exposure is often sufficient to reshape their brain maps because their brains are naturally in learning mode. They absorb information with remarkable ease and adaptability, effortlessly reconfiguring their neural pathways to accommodate new knowledge and skills. In contrast, adults experience a different scenario. For them, plasticity requires a higher level of effort and concentration. Simply being exposed to information is not enough. Active engagement, focused attention, and deliberate practice are essential for fostering neural change. This distinction highlights the adaptability of the brain at different life stages, emphasizing the importance of nurturing learning during childhood while also recognizing the potential for growth in adulthood, albeit with more intentional effort. From a biological perspective, this makes sense. Children are in a constant state of exploration and discovery, with little prior knowledge of what is essential for survival. Their brains are primed to adapt quickly to their environments to learn critical skills, as posited by evolutionary biology. This adaptability is crucial for survival, enabling them to respond to the demands of their surroundings and acquire the skills necessary to thrive. In essence, understanding rewiring and critical periods illuminates the remarkable capabilities of our brains, showcasing how we can harness neuroplasticity throughout our lives. Whether we are in our formative years or adulthood, the potential for transformation and growth remains ever present, empowering us to redesign our cognitive landscapes. How to learn effectively. In the fascinating realm of neuroplasticity, Michael Merzenich has demonstrated that the human brain retains its remarkable plasticity well into adulthood. This means that our experiences and actions continue to shape and change our brains, allowing us to learn and grow throughout our lives. Merzenich's research reveals a crucial truth: when neurons are repeatedly trained through practice and experience, they become more efficient, firing more rapidly and facilitating quicker thoughts and reactions. This concept echoes the insights found in the Talent Code, which emphasizes the power of deep practice for mastering skills and learning effectively. To enhance our learning, it's essential to recognize that our memory can only be as clear as the impressions we first receive. When we aim to remember something well, we must engage with it deeply, whether through listening attentively or reading thoroughly. Paying close attention is not just a passive activity, it's a vital part of the learning process. The clearer the initial experience, the stronger the neural connections formed, making it easier to recall that information later. Brain maps competition. While the term brain map may lack a precise definition, it can be understood as the allocation of specific areas of the brain, or clusters of neurons, to particular tasks or the interpretation of certain impulses. This allocation is dynamic and responsive to our experiences. A remarkable feature of the brain is its ability to reallocate resources. If one area of the brain becomes inactive or unused for a certain task, other areas with their own specialized maps can take over that space, repurposing its computational power. This dynamic restructuring has profound implications for our everyday lives. For instance, if we stop exercising a particular mental skill, the brain will reallocate that space to other functions we are actively engaging in. This phenomenon explains why learning new skills, like a foreign language, becomes increasingly difficult as we age. It's not solely due to the closure of the critical period for language acquisition, it's also because our native language, honed over years of use, comes to dominate our linguistic map. As we continuously engage with our mother tongue, it solidifies its hold on our brain's resources, leaving limited capacity for new linguistic entries. Similarly, when it comes to forming new habits, the process involves not just learning something new but also unlearning the old habits that have claimed their territory within our brain maps. For example, if a bad habit has established itself in our neural pathways, it will be challenging to create space for a healthier one without first addressing the old pattern. This underscores the critical importance of early childhood education and intervention. Instilling positive habits early on can prevent detrimental ones from taking root, ensuring that children have the optimal cognitive environment to learn and grow. By understanding how our brains learn, adapt, and compete for cognitive resources, we can harness the power of neuroplasticity to enhance our learning experiences, overcome challenges, and foster meaningful change in our lives. Embracing the dynamic nature of our brains not only empowers us to become lifelong learners but also equips us with the tools to reshape our habits and perspectives, ultimately leading to personal growth and success. Future possibilities and keeping smart. In The Brain That Changes Itself, Norman Doidge dares to dream big, igniting a spark of excitement in every curious mind about the future of human engineering. Imagine a world where the possibilities for enhancing our cognitive abilities are not just science fiction but an emerging reality. Through groundbreaking research, particularly studies conducted on rats, scientists have discovered that it's theoretically and practically possible to reopen critical period plasticity in adults. This means that, with the right external stimulation or pharmacological intervention, we could potentially tap into the brain's youthful adaptability long after the critical windows of development have closed. But that's not all. Doidge ventures into the realm of anti-aging. He suggests that we might one day slow down, halt, or even reverse the cognitive decline associated with aging. This decline is primarily due to decreased processing speed and accuracy, which can affect everything from memory to problem-solving skills. Just picture a future where age doesn't dictate our mental acuity, where the wisdom of experience combines seamlessly with the sharpness of a youthful brain. The possibilities are endless, and the future is brimming with opportunities for cognitive enhancement and revitalization. However, before we reach these scientific breakthroughs, we hold the power to shape our cognitive destinies right now through simple, yet effective means: exercise. Regular physical activity has been shown to enhance neuroplasticity, improve brain function, and combat cognitive decline. Engaging in mental exercises, such as learning new skills, playing musical instruments, or even tackling puzzles, can significantly enhance our brain's adaptability. By challenging our brains to think in new ways and pushing our mental limits, we can create an environment ripe for growth and change. So, while we eagerly await the incredible advancements on the horizon, let's not underestimate the power of what we can do today. Our brains are malleable, and every effort we make to learn, grow, and challenge ourselves contributes to a brighter, smarter future. Embrace the journey of lifelong learning, stay curious, and remember, the keys to unlocking our potential are already within our reach. The future of our minds is not just a dream, it's a path we can actively forge with every decision we make today. Neurons that fire together wire together. Chapter 4: Acquiring Tastes and Loves. In The Brain That Changes Itself, Norman Doidge dives into the fascinating world of human sexuality and emotional connections, revealing that we, as human beings, possess the greatest degree of sexual variety and plasticity in the entire animal kingdom. This plasticity indicates that our sexual preferences and attractions are not rigidly hardwired but are shaped by a complex interplay of our psychology and experiences. This idea emphasizes a profound truth: the human libido is not merely a constant, biological urge. Instead, it is a fluid, often fickle entity, easily influenced by our mental states and the narratives we build around our sexual encounters. For example, our experiences with various partners can broaden or narrow our tastes, highlighting the brain's adaptability in matters of the heart. While Doidge notes that individuals who have had multiple partners or couples who have been together for extended periods often display greater sexual plasticity, he stops short of providing deeper analysis or concrete evidence to substantiate this claim. This lack of elaboration might leave readers wanting more insight into the underlying mechanisms driving these observations. Love, it's the ensemble of all attributes. Falling in love is not just an emotional experience, it's a monumental transformation within our brains. When we commit to someone, we often undergo significant changes in our lives that can feel like a loss of identity. The process of merging two lives can be both exhilarating and overwhelming, as we adapt to new dynamics and expectations. Doidge argues that our attraction to others goes far beyond mere physical appearance. It encompasses a rich tapestry of attributes, including the ability of our partners to evoke feelings of joy and comfort. When we fall in love, we trigger intensely pleasurable emotional states that can blind us to our partner's flaws, making us more accepting of their imperfections. This phenomenon resonates with themes explored in films like 500 Days of Summer, which highlights the complexities and contradictions inherent in love and relationships. The brain's remarkable ability to forge connections, neurons that fire together wire together, illustrates how our experiences and emotional states shape our neural pathways. Each interaction, each moment of intimacy, and each shared experience strengthens these connections, reinforcing our bonds and shaping our preferences. Love, then, becomes a dynamic interplay of chemistry, psychology, and shared history, a dance of neural pathways that continues to evolve as we navigate the complexities of relationships. In summary, Doidge's exploration of sexual and romantic plasticity serves as a reminder of the brain's incredible adaptability. Our desires, preferences, and emotional connections are not fixed, they can shift and grow, guided by our experiences and the relationships we cultivate. Embracing this plasticity allows us to understand ourselves better and appreciate the profound impact that love and desire have on our lives. Unlearning, oxytocin and love. In The Brain That Changes Itself, Norman Doidge explores the complex interplay between love, bonding, and the neurochemical processes that govern our relationships. He highlights the critical role of oxytocin, often dubbed the love hormone, which fosters bonding among mammals and cultivates trust. Unlike dopamine, which fuels sexual excitement and arousal, oxytocin induces a sense of calm and warmth. This hormonal difference is crucial in understanding how our emotional responses and connections evolve. Interestingly, oxytocin also plays a role in unlearning. It has been suggested that this hormone can dissolve existing neuronal connections, allowing individuals to let go of past behaviors and make room for new relationships and responsibilities. This is particularly significant when it comes to forming bonds with new partners and preparing for parenthood, as it encourages a shift away from previous self-centered behaviors. However, the capacity to unlearn can have profound implications. Many individuals who fall in love with manipulative partners may find themselves entrapped, as oxytocin can sometimes facilitate dependency on those partners. This deep-seated change makes it challenging for individuals to disentangle themselves from unhealthy dynamics, often leading to long, painful recovery processes. Early experiences play big roles. Doidge argues that early childhood experiences can significantly shape adult behaviors and relationships, aligning with some of Freud's assertions about the impact of formative years. Research supports the idea that unresolved issues from childhood can become wired in our brains, influencing our behaviors and relationships well into adulthood. Critical periods in development, especially concerning sexual maturation, play a crucial role in determining how these patterns manifest later in life. Conclusion. Norman Doidge's exploration of love, learning, and neuroplasticity reveals a captivating understanding of how our brains adapt and change throughout life. The interplay of hormones like oxytocin and the effects of early experiences shape our emotional landscapes, while the brain's remarkable ability to rewire itself underscores the potential for healing and growth. As we navigate relationships and personal challenges, embracing this plasticity can lead to profound transformations, helping us cultivate healthier connections and a deeper understanding of ourselves. Chapter Summaries. Chapter 5, Stroke victims learn to move and speak again. For years, it was believed that recovery after a stroke was limited. However, thanks to the brain's plasticity, this is not the case. Research by Thaub on monkeys showed that even after deafferentation, cutting motor nerves, monkeys could regain movement by using their arms when both were affected. Thaub applied this understanding to stroke patients, demonstrating that even those who had suffered strokes years earlier could improve significantly through massed practice, intensive exercises over short periods. The findings suggest that our brain's operators are often generic, allowing for rehabilitation despite brain lesions. Chapter 6, Brain Lock Unlocked, Obsessions, Bad Habits. Doidge discusses obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, and how compulsive behaviors strengthen fear and worry pathways in the brain. Research by Schwartz indicates that patients can reframe their worries, focusing on the OCD episode rather than the worry itself, which helps create new positive pathways. Engaging in pleasurable activities instead of giving into compulsions can weaken the old pathways and strengthen new ones, aided by dopamine release. Chapter 7, Pain, the Dark Side of Plasticity. Plasticity can be both beneficial and detrimental. Ramachandran explores phantom limb pain, where amputees feel sensations in limbs that are no longer there. He argues that pain is not just about transmitting information, it's influenced by brain plasticity. By tricking the brain through techniques like mirror therapy, patients can alleviate phantom pain. Additionally, providing pain relief before surgery can prevent pain from becoming locked in after the procedure. Chapter 8, Imagination, How Thinking Makes It So. Pasquale Leone's research illustrates that mental practice can be nearly as effective as physical practice for skill acquisition. Brain scans show that students' brain maps expand with learning, but they revert to baseline quickly without consistent practice. Mental rehearsal can activate the same neural pathways as physical activity, indicating that thoughts significantly influence brain structure and function. Chapter 9, Psychoanalysis as a Neuroplastic Therapy. Doidge presents a compelling case of a patient who, through psychoanalysis, confronts deep-seated pain, illustrating how emotional healing can reshape brain pathways. This process highlights the connection between therapeutic practices and neuroplasticity.